Welcome to
everybody.
Redacted. Do we have a sound check? Are we okay? Excuse us.
Yeah, we had no sound on the intro.
Yeah, we didn't hear it, but hopefully you can hear us. Welcome to your Thursday. This is a busy day on Redacted. We're so glad you're here. We already said our names, but there they are again. I'm Natalie, and this is Clayton.
Yeah, coming up on the show today, we're going to look at the fallout from Pam Bondi's testimony yesterday in front of Congress and multiple calls now for her resignation, or if she doesn't resign on her own, then impeachment proceedings to move forward. Why is it? But the real question is, why is the Department of Justice actively covering for pedophiles? Like, forget all the theatric yesterday with Pam Bondi doing her whole acting session and everything that she was reading off of cue cards and flashcards, but why are they covering for these pedophiles?
Why have they been for decades? Why are they continuing to? Right.
Yeah. Is there a hint in when she mentioned the Dow is over 50,000, 50,000? Maybe that's why, because it could tank the stock market if all these billionaires are in fact responsible and they all go down with the entire stock market collapse. Was that what she was hinting at? I don't know. We're going to talk about that.
We're also going to continue to talk about Pizzagate because that continues to unfold. If you learned the soup to nuts Pizzagate scandal yesterday on yesterday's episode, it was deep, it was dark, it was heavy. It was a lot. I hope you were able to digest it. Keep it in mind. We're going to continue to follow this story. Also, one question that has really been bothering me is why was Epstein so busy with elite research academics? What did he want with them specifically? Now, I have two theories about this, and I'd like to prove it to you. The first is that it was geopolitical influence, but the second is I think it was to normalize sexual perversion throughout polite society. And I'm going to make that case, and I hope you stick with me on it.
All right. So we got a lot to get to today on the show. Let us know where you're joining us from. Thank you for subscribing. We're heading towards 3 million subscribers here on YouTube and, of course, getting towards 1 million on Rumble. So thank you, all of you truth seekers out there. We don't have an agenda other than the truth. We're not going to all like the Epstein binder crowd that loves to cover for Trump and make all excuses for Pam Bondi. That's not us. If you're looking for that, there's plenty of other shows like that out there that you can watch. Actually, many of those binder people, by the way, haven't even touched the Epstein story at all. They've totally been quiet.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. They were so quick to like hold up those binders.
Wouldn't you like
totally
to juxtapose what was written in those binders versus what we know now? That would be interesting. Maybe we can find somebody who actually looked through the binders and then can say, what do we have now? Because they had it then. It's clear that they had it then. So I'm very curious about that crowd. We legitimize nobody. We are just simply truth seekers.
All right, but we're going to get to all of that. But first, I've got a little box here because this has been a game changer for me. I want to tell you about our friends over at Healthy Cell because I started using this recently. You just pull out one of these packets, and depending on, it's a vitamin, it's a supplement, right? And what's different about Healthy Cell is that these gel supplements taste great, and each one replaces like multiple pills. So you know how like a lot of people will have those like big pill supplement things, and they've got all their pills shoved in there. Well, you're mixing bottles and all of that. The best part about these is you just crack open one of these little gels, pour it in some cold water, mix it with some ice and cold water, and you get all of those multivitamins right in your water, and they taste great. And you can pick and choose like which ones work for you. So what makes Healthy Cell different is the gel format. It's clinically proven to absorb 165% more than those tablets. So instead of those nutrients just passing right through your body is actually using them. Fewer pills, better absorption, and way more convenient. I've been using their Bioactive Multi and also the Heart Health one as well. And I'm telling you, you just feel better because you get more energy. You can actually feel that it's working in your body and you're not peeing it out. Honestly, the biggest difference is how many pills I've stopped having to take. Multiple, bottles of pills. You get to do all of it now just with this one gel pack. Vitamin D, zinc, magnesium, a bunch of other vitamins, all separate. No. Now you just get one gel pack. Just mixed right with water. Take it straight from the pack. It tastes great. You don't have to drink it with water if you don't want to. Or you can mix it with water. Or you can put it in a smoothie. Whatever you want to do. Their joint health and mobility gel is fantastic. I was taking turmeric in pill form, and it wasn't very gentle on my stomach. I actually felt a little woozy after taking it. This gel pack has curcumin, which is the active ingredient in turmeric, along with glucosamine, chondroitin, omega-3s, and more. Everything you need for healthy joints. Most days after my workout, I mix this together in any of your protein shakes, and I love it. It tastes great. So try it right now. Try Healthy Cell for yourself. Go to healthycell.com. That's healthycell.com. Use the code redacted to get 20% off your first order. So our thanks to Healthy Cell. And keep them in the fridge, too. And it keeps them nice and cold. All right. All good? Mm-hmm. Okay. Something going on?
No.
All right. Just want to make sure.
No. I just wanted to tell you guys that if you use that overhead camera, you need to tell me because I sit cross-legged.
Okay. All right,
I need a heads up.
I wanted to make sure it wasn't something important.
I sit crisscross applesauce here.
Okay. Like what? We don't have an overhead camera.
Well, I noticed from that. Yeah, when you guys came in on
that camera,
I was like, oh, can you see that I'm not sitting like a lady? I am
We're
now.
not trying to go basic instinct here.
No, I don't sit inappropriately. I sit like a kindergartner. And so I was like, whoa, what's that? Okay.
I saw the feverish texting while I was reading that. I was worried that there was a problem.
There's no problem.
There's no problem.
No, I just want to make sure.
Just vanity. Okay.
I'm trying to look appropriate here.
Okay.
But I'm sitting like I'm on a kindergarten circle rug.
All right. Crisscross applesauce. You ready for story hour?
Yes, I am.
We have a little story hour to get to because there's really only one question today that we want to delve into that I want to talk about here at the top, which is why is the Trump administration defending and covering up for pedophiles? That's the question, right? That's really the question. And it's really the only and main question. And then there are sub-questions underneath all of that, of course, like why are Epstein binder MAGA influencers like these people, these journalist types, also running cover for Pam Bondi and the Trump administration, totally ignoring the Epstein story now? Well,
I will point out that Liz Wheeler is in this picture, and she has been covering the Epstein files. So
yes.
At the very least, there are some.
There are some, but not all of them. And most of them are totally ignoring it. So again, why are MAGA journalist types also running cover for Pam Bondi and the Trump administration? Thomas Massie is the problem, of course, to all of them. Not the pedophiles, it's Thomas Massie who's the problem. Notice the person here in the middle of this photo is Chaya Ryachik. She runs that Libs of TikTok channel. It's very odd, though. A lot of people have noticed that why is Libs of TikTok totally ignoring the Epstein files? Just do a cursory scroll through the timeline here. A lot of people were pointing out this over the past few weeks that Libs of TikTok has totally ignored all of the files. They'll talk about the Voting Act, of course, what's going on with ICE, what happened in Canada with the mass shooting in Canada. Sure, ICE, plenty of ICE in there, and on about ICE.
Wasn't the whole point of giving them those binders because they're influencers to go out and tell people what were in them? Like that was the whole point.
But also the whole point, the way that Libs of TikTok made its fame was pointing out liberal perverts who were mostly in educational institutions like kindergartners. And so perverts were kind of their thing, pointing out perverts in everyday society under the Biden years. And now these most egregious perverts, not interested. That's just so weird.
Zero mention of Epstein. If you scroll through Libs of TikTok, Tom Santos was eagle-eyed on this and pointed this out. He said, so how is Libs of TikTok responding to Trump and Musk and the Epstein files back on January 31st by staying completely quiet and pretending it's not happening? The General posted this. Maybe this is some insight into why there's no posting about it. Was there some sort of an edict? Libs of TikTok has allegedly been advised by their social media team to avoid posting about Epstein with concerns that it leads all the way back to Israel. So is their social media team just totally quiet about
concerns
it? Concerns like possibilities it might lead all the way back to Israel. Okay. So why are most of the Pam Bondi binder crowd staying silent on this? Scroll through their timelines and they're nearly devoid of any mention of Epstein. A few of them, all over. Great. Most of them quiet about it. Very strange. Meanwhile, after the Pam Bondi hearing yesterday, watch one of those low testosterone so-called journalists who works for Laura Loomer, also not talking about the Epstein files, by the way, trying to attack Massie. It backfired big time. Your voice is cracking. Are you on puberty blockers? Watch.
No, I didn't see him on that.
Congressman Massie, in the last week, you would have called on President Trump to apologize to Barack Obama, and you're standing here with Congressman Khanna at a press conference implying that the president is a pedophile protector. Are you hating on Trump to try out for CNN? I didn't crack out.
Blockers are wearing off.
Oh, really? Yeah. Congressman, you need to answer my question. Your lies, your insults are getting old. Answer my question.
Are you hating on Trump? That's your question? Like, you got a chance to talk to Congressman Massey, and you're like, are you hating on Trump? Are you hating on Donald Trump?
Why should this matter?
What the hell? Who gives a rat's ass?
For not
for the Epstein files?
Yeah, for not arresting pedophiles.
Like, you get one chance to ask a question. Are you hating on Trump, my favorite man? What the fuck is wrong with these people? Seriously.
Shouldn't we hate the people who don't want to stop this? We should hate everybody.
No,
who
go
wants
after Massey.
this to continue.
Massey and Ro Khanna are the problems. Those are the problems. So why are they trying to protect pedophiles? And then why is this like MAGA influencer media crowd also actively trying to protect pedophiles? We should all be asking that question. Does it have anything to do with the fact that Israel is a safe haven for pedophiles? Maybe. I don't know. Israel becoming a refuge for pedophiles, warns advocate for child sex abuse victims. It's well documented. As CBS News reported, how Jewish American pedophiles hide from justice in Israel. Notice the timeline on that, February 19th, 2020. CBS News did an entire deep dive investigation about how pedophiles can find great refuge in Israel. It really is a haven for pedophiles. Watch.
A CBS News investigation has uncovered a loophole that allows accused and convicted American pedophiles to escape justice by moving to Israel. So Ian Lee has been following this for more than a year, and he traveled to Israel for this investigation. He worked with a group that tracks people accused of sex crimes, which estimates dozens of Americans have used this loophole.
Yeah, so maybe why they're going after Massey so hard, of course, is that he won't take your AIPAC money and he won't protect pedophiles like you want him to. By the way, that CBS report, just to point out, on Israel was before Barry Weiss took over, so don't expect to see any more journalism in that regard. Speaking of Massey, though, he attempted to hold AG Pam Bondi's feet to the fire yesterday, asking her why the DOJ specifically redacted the names of people like Les Wexner, a known Epstein conspirator. But she didn't want to answer that. She wanted to do more theatrics. Watch.
Respond, and then the gentleman can move to his next question.
It's my time.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question. Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
Red-handed? There was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed as a co-conspirator.
4,700, and we invited you in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get. You're a failed politician. You need to get on this matter.
Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the rules here.
There is no credible information. None.
Failed politician.
Get on to things that matter, she said. Get on to things that matter was the one that really got me. It doesn't matter. They probably disintegrated and grew sex slaves, but it doesn't matter.
And they were actively eating people. Mm-hmm. But you have TDS.
11-year-old virgins, they were called, offering up a 9-year-old Brazilian who was sexy. This doesn't matter. Powerful people, institutions inside our society, this is not what matters. Because how do we know it's in the past? We don't. It doesn't matter. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm just reading. But the problem, so what was I saying? She said you have Trump derangement syndrome, as if that's the biggest issue here. But also that he's saying the only reason you unredacted that name is because I caught you red-handed.
And this had nothing to do with Trump. She's saying this is Trump derangement syndrome. It has to do with who was connected to this, specifically Epstein. Why did you unredact the victim names and redact the perpetrators and the suspects and the co-conspirators? Why that? You weren't supposed to do that according to the bill. Trump signed the bill. So this has nothing to do with Trump. Someone in the comments like, are you being anti-Trump? Shut up. That's not what this is about. This is clearly about institutional rot. If you're framing it around this one loyalty, you can screw off.
Yeah, as Grub Mud says, anti-fence sitting. We're not fence sitting at all. Like, you have a member of your Department of Justice who won't answer questions and is literally covering for pedophiles.
Yeah.
Like, there's no gray area here. There's no, I'm an Epstein binder MAGA influencer, so we'll just give her the benefit of the doubt and she's great. Because plenty of people came out on social media yesterday in that same crowd who were like, I think Pam Bondi did great. She took down TDS Massey. Okay. So, but she did want to let us all know that the Dow, when she was asked direct questions about this, why are these names, these co-conspirators that were supposed to be unredacted in the Transparency Act, as Natalie pointed out, you can't answer that question, but instead you're more focused on the Dow Jones being over 50,000. What?
The Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
Yeah, are you kidding? What does the Dow have to do with Americans being safe? So these billion-dollar companies that are profiting off of the backs of AI and laying off workers and like literally shedding tens of thousands of jobs. I don't know if you saw the latest employment numbers. Okay, so that we're supposed to be celebrating that, and these companies, their stock goes up when they lay people off. Like that's making Americans safe. So children have been trafficked in the United States to pedophiles and billionaires, and they're safe with those people.
Also, if we want to loop in economics, I mean, our tax dollars are going to, arresting people for just having some weed, but not for eating or sexually abusing or killing people. That's just fine. So yeah, we can't really invest in the Dow to the extent to which we would like to, because we're taxed to the hilt to support satanic pedophilia cults. So yeah, I'm kind of upset about the economics of it. If you want to really pull me into that lens, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, it doesn't work at all. And so we're supposed to just go along with this diatribe. And well, she said, why are you laughing about this? Michael Flynn Jr. pointed this out. Son of the great General Michael Flynn said, never forget that Blondie created the initial Epstein shitstorm with Bindergate. Yeah, she's the one that handed these things out. So she's trying to obfuscate and say that this is Merrick Garland. Why don't you ask Merrick Garland these questions? Remember, she had the Epstein list sitting on her desk, as he points out, and then she suddenly didn't. So many turned after that incredible debacle, and she should have been fired after that. One of the most interesting exchanges, though, came when Ted Lieu, yes, a Democrat, who cares, but he asked her a very specific question about reports, specifically from people who went to the FBI and reported that, in fact, Trump was at these parties with Epstein with underage girls. And he asked her specifically to respond to that question, as it shows up in the Epstein files released by your Department of Justice. And somehow this was offensive to her to have to answer for something that's actually in the Epstein files from her FBI. Watch.
Former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files.
I'm claim my time. I got your answer. You said there's no evidence.
Trump asked
Chairman, please stop the clock.
Stop the clock. The legislation. This is
time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center, because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop the limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we say here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
Yeah, and also I love the grandstanding from Democrats. As Natalie and I were just talking here privately, it's like, you know, they had every chance and ample opportunity to go after these people, right? So,
during the Biden years.
During the
Obama years. Yeah, all of a sudden you're read in. Fantastic. I mean, I will support you for asking these questions because I want this information too. But now, all of a sudden, you're keen on this when you're not in power? Again, Democrats had this information. Why didn't they use this against Donald Trump when they were running against him? I don't understand this. So yeah, I'm happy to hear this, but also I'm still pissed and you don't get a pass.
But I don't want to distract from the actual people here, the victims here in all of this, right? And so to his point, though, so yeah, Democrats grandstanding, that's one thing. But there are real answers here that need answering. There are real questions here that need answering, specifically that limo driver. This video is Dan Ferry. He's the limo driver mentioned by Ted Lieu just now at the Bondi hearing. The young girl in question did, in fact, end up dead. And it was determined not to be suicide. Never investigated, by the way. Who shot her in the head? Maybe we should investigate that. Keep this thing quiet so Trump doesn't get in trouble. Here is Dan Ferry responding to Ted Lieu and Pam Bondi yesterday. Watch the limo driver.
Donald John Trump, who was the 45th president of the United States of America. Donald, I know for a fact that you know exactly who I am. Don't even try to play like you don't. You stalked me in May, I'm almost certain it was May of 1995, and you know you did. You called around the different services that were in the Dallas area until you found the one that I was the chauffeur for. Then you requested me specifically to come pick you up so that you could intimidate me. You even threatened me with your ignorant gold-plated semi-automatic whatever it was. You did all that because you had raped a little girl around Christmas time of '94, 5 months earlier, who was 14 years old. Now, when that little girl was 7 years old, her and her two sisters became my daughters by choice.
Now, he goes on, and you can dive more deeply into that part of the story, but we should get answers, shouldn't we? And maybe the DOJ should respond to this and actually look into it instead of covering this up. And when Pam Bondi was walking out of her hearing, their victims were standing there and asking to meet with her. She walked right by them. But it is worth remembering, like, what she said back in the day in her campaign ads when she was running for Attorney General of Florida about sex traffickers. Watch.
Florida ranks third nationally in calls for help for human trafficking, where young women and children are enslaved and abused. I knew we needed all hands on deck. Businesses and hospitals to spot it, our great law enforcement to stop it, and tougher penalties to punish it. We're taking on Medicaid fraud, pill mills, gangs, and more, and I'll fight to put human trafficking monsters where they belong, behind bars.
Pam Bondi, our Attorney General.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting. Who got to her? You know, who was it? Susie Wiles? Who in the Trump administration specifically was telling her to obfuscate, to cover this up, to go there with flashcards? And when each member would pop up and ask her a question, she looked down at her flashcards and made a little quip or some little aside to attack them. She was also looking at documents. We know from reporting when she lifted up documents, we could see that she had search history of members of Congress as they were accessing the files, Jayapal and others, she opened them up and you could see Jayapal's search history looking through the Epstein files. So someone gave her search history, like, so they're actually actively tracking members of Congress.
Which, look, that may or may not be legal. I don't know. The idea that can be validated, though, is that the Trump administration's method of responding to this is to attack the questioners and not actually follow the trail. So have the victims been interviewed by the Trump Department of Justice? No. Have they followed certain leads about certain deaths? No. The question is why, and why was her then response method planned out only attack the questioners? That's the question, right? So is there really any interest in stopping this or punishing it or making sure that it doesn't happen or that it's not currently happening? No, I don't think we can say that there is. Why? When this is the promise of the Trump campaign. Why? It was not a promise of the Biden administration. So at the very least, we didn't get it. We weren't promised it, right? But this was a cornerstone of something that people who do not trust the government wanted. Now we don't trust the government even more, and it's infuriating. All right, coming up, we're going to talk more about... Oh, yeah, sorry, you had another.
Well, I just want to say people are, mocking, of course, Pam Bondi. And I thought this one was went a little viral last night, which I wanted to play for you here. If Pam Bondi was a waitress, watch.
Greetings.
Hi, what are your specials?
Well, it's funny. Since my time as waitress, I have completed more orders than...
Sorry, what are the specials?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question when I'm good and ready. Your theatrics are ridiculous. Okay, the market price fish might be up, but the Dow is down. Oh, you can't read the menu because of redactions? How about you apologize for coming in here with a party of 11?
Ma'am, could I get a refill on water?
Did you drink the water I already gave you?
Yeah, but I want...
So you admit that I already gave you water?
Yeah, but
I yield my time.
Ma'am.
Oh, so you want to complain that I gave you pickles when you said you didn't want pickles, but how about you apologize for a complicated order? I have yet to hear an apology from you, or you for that matter. What are the gluten-free options? How about you grow a pair? A turkey burger? This guy's got beef derangement syndrome over here. Give me a break.
Check, please.
You do not tell me what to do. I will get you the check when I want to get you the check.
And could I please get that with Italian dressing?
Italian dressing? In America? Just say you love illegal invaders. Greetings.
Hi.
So, yeah. That's a little take on what's been going viral over the past 24 hours.
All right. I mean, some of the memes are fun, but it's really not funny. So I struggle with this because, I like the reels as much as the next of like how elites email, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it's really upsetting. It's upsetting that we have to be like this. So anyway, you know this. You've been here with us for weeks. Let's move on. Coming up, we're going to talk about why Epstein was so interested in elite academics. Why? These are people who publish papers that nobody reads. What is the end game here? And I think it's just as dark as the rest of it. So stick with us on that. We're also going to give you a follow-up to Pizzagate. First, though, we want to tell you about our friends over at Lear Capital, because I know it's not fun when somebody says, I told you so. So we won't say that, but I will point out that Lear has been a loyal sponsor of Redacted for years. And if you had been investing with Lear all of this time, you would have made a lot of money. Well, that's because gold, silver, and precious metals hold their value, whereas the U.S. dollar does not. Now, this was a hard lesson for a lot of us to learn when the economy tanked over the Ukraine war and the COVID pandemic. And we thought, well, maybe it will recover as politicians are changed out. It has not. That has not happened. And in fact, it doesn't seem like it's going to. As we head to war with Iran, the end of the war in Ukraine is nowhere in sight. Now we're diverting oil from Venezuela to Israel and away from Cuba. Like, they're not going to do right by working people. They're just not going to. So your options are to invest in tangible assets that hold their value. That's why our friends at Lear Capital can teach you this. If you go to learredacted.com, you can get a free investor guide. Or what I really suggest is to call them, because they answer the phone like they're your friends, and they are. And they will just listen to wherever you are in this learning journey about investing in metals, whether you'd like to keep it in your house, whether you'd like to invest in a fund like an IRA. They can help you from soup to nuts. and they will teach you the different asset classes. So go to learredacted.com or call them, like I said, 800-613-3557. You also can receive up to $20,000 in free bonus medals with a qualified purchase. So come on, you guys, it's time to get yourself some gold and silver. Call the best in the business at Lear Capital. There's no obligation to purchase. This is education and information on protecting and growing your wealth. And again, if you'd been doing this since the time when they started working with Redacted, you are a happy camper, but it is not too late, because if you think the value of the dollar is going up, well, I have a bedtime story for you, but this is real economics that we're talking about. So invest in things that hold their value, like precious metal. And once again, we want to thank Lear for their support, learredacted.com.
Cassie in our chat room says, super chat, thank you, says, I'm with Natalie. People can screw off about anti-Trump nonsense. If you're not on the side of protecting children, that tells us everything you need to know. P.S. Pammy is sloshed. I agree with that.
Sure. And look, it's painful to say, okay, I voted for this and, you know, this is worse than I thought. Absolutely. That's painful. That's part of it. If you can't admit that your loyalties have led you astray, then you're not growing as a human being. So we cannot force this through a partisan lens. And if you're still seeing the world through a partisan lens, you have your eyes wide shut. That's all I can say. It's eyes wide shut all over again.
It is.
All right. Well, why did Epstein have so many elite academics in his social circle? Why would someone whose main job was sexual abusing and international weapons trafficker, why would he have time for these sort of boring academic journal types? This isn't a throwaway curiosity. It's a serious question, because Epstein was not a scholar. He was once a high school math teacher, and he didn't even graduate for college to qualify for that job. And yet his calendar was filled with professors from Harvard, MIT, Stanford, Columbia, neurologists, geneticists, economics, linguistics, men and women who shape ideas and culture. So I did compile a short list of known academics who had relationships with Epstein. Now, I want to be clear so I'm not sued. I'm not accusing these people of anything outright. I am only saying that they are known associates with Epstein, most of them in regular contact with him after his 2008 conviction as a sexual predator. So why? These are academics. They're supposed to be the smartest in our society, and yet they're too dumb to not have regular social contact with Epstein. That's weird, right? So here's a list of some well-known academics who are all listed and shown to be emailing regularly with Epstein, and in fact meeting with them. Some of them, you know, eagerly setting up meetings. Some of them checking in on him when he gets a cold. There are 2 pages here, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. We can continue to find more and more. It is worth noting Stephen Hawking on this list. He was reported to have gone to Epstein's Island in 2006 and not had contact after his 2008 conviction. But you can check my work on that. That's alleged, of course. Now, again, many of them have issued their standard, I knew Epstein through this person. We worked on these academic grants. I never saw any underage girls. I didn't know any of this, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Believe that if you want. But again, most of them regularly met with him after he had already been convicted and served jail time for prostitution. Most of them joked, oh, you're so bad. You're so bad. Many of them joked about having an unfair media representation, Noam Chomsky being one of them. The media treats you very unfairly, he said, for, underage prostitution. That's the media. Now, 2 academics I want to herald because they are missing from this list. The first, Norm Finkelstein, who responded to invitations to meet with Epstein by saying that both he and Alan Dershowitz both should be strangled. He said he copied this sworn testimony from a legal document and said, I don't think I want to hang out with these people. They both should be throttled, by which he means strangled. I found this very reassuring because I only just finished his book, The Holocaust Industry, a few months ago, and I wanted to keep liking him, and I will continue to do this because I think this is a badass move. Everyone should please read it, and we should reward this kind of behavior. Also, it's a fantastic book on its own.
His parents were?
He is the child of Jewish concentration camp survivors. So he is a Jew himself, and he talks about the exploitation of the Holocaust, and it is a gripping book. I cannot recommend it enough. Incidentally, Unlike the decorated academics on my list before who were known Epstein associates, Finkelstein, funny, right? He was denied tenure at DePaul University because of enormous public pressure. Now, when you consider the theme of his work and his refusal to associate with pedophiles, it's strange that the one good guy gets denied promotion. The rest of these are all celebrated academics. That's weird, right? Anybody find that weird?
Yeah.
Okay, another.
And, they probably all got tenure.
Most of them are tenured. One of them is the former president of Harvard. Right. Okay. Another, Nassim Nicholas Taleb. He is an author and a New York Polytech professor. He has said publicly many times that when he was invited to meet Epstein, he said F off. And the files do validate that. Here you can see Epstein again being asked about him as if he's someone that he really should meet. And Epstein saying, I never met him. But there are many times when he is either invited or suggested for guest lists, and he absolutely refused. Now, this is something that's top of mind for me because it's clear, as I am a graduate of an elite liberal university where we were taught things like marriage is a trap, traditional family values are oppressive, everyone is some version of gay and trans, sexual exploitation and exploration is normal and healthy. This is what they teach in universities, and it's curious to see who might have influence here. Now, universities are not neutral spaces. They are cultural engines. They decide what is acceptable, what is backwards, what is taboo, what is enlightenment. They soften the edges and reframe our boundaries. They teach the next generation how to think about morality, sex, power, transgression. So was this the long game? This is a valid question. Was this the long game for Epstein and his puppet masters? Because by no means do I think that this was the project of Epstein's brain by himself. Absolutely not. He was being controlled by very rich and powerful power centers. Is this what they're still playing at and that they always have been? Now, this piqued my interest. Look at this text exchange between Epstein and Larry Summers, Larry Summers was the former president of Harvard, a government economist, Larry Summers. Take that down for a second. I want to set it up, if you don't mind. So let me give you some background about this text before you see it. This is, where am I? Prior to this, what little tidbit I'm going to show you, this is Larry Epstein and Epstein and Summers, both discussing fundraising institutes and academics. So they're saying, oh, we should give money to this person, this person, this person. I met with the chair of this person. It's all high-level Research One universities, Novak, Rita Colwell, the Tata Institute, Lawrence Krauss. He emphasizes, yes, we're going to give money here. I met with them. They're going to put out their research, no strings attached, no deliverables. He mentions outreaches to institute heads. So clearly he is embedded in elite research universities. And then let's take a look at what they say here. Now, Larry Summers says, or Epstein says, this is cultural translation problem. Jekyll is face, Hyde is real, not the same as Western. She, meaning some academic, is willing to argue that everyone is part Hyde, but not as accomplished as appearing Jekyll. I would expect more like this on this contact. And Larry Summers says, well, forget Jekyll and Hyde. It's reasonable to think about how pleasurable or unpleasurable this would be in steady state. So in this lore, Jekyll and Hyde, if you don't know, Jekyll is the socially acceptable outward persona, right? Hyde is the evil-doing alter ego that operates in the shadows. They are seeking an academic to validate that the world is made up of these dark evildoers, that we really all want to be Hyde. Do you understand what I'm saying here? It's norm shifting for the purposes of sexual perversion fantasies, because the fantasy was breed sex slaves. We've shown you that. Sex tourism. We've shown you that, all of which are discussed in the files. So this may be conjecture, but it does show that Epstein was interacting with senior academics in an intellectualized way, not as a passive donor, but as someone who wanted to engage in conceptual framing of deviance, of sexual and violent deviance. It seems clear to me he wasn't bringing academics into his world. He was bringing them, his world of sexual and violent deviant acts, into theirs. And they're willing. their game. That is abundantly clear with this email from UCLA professor Mark Tramo. It's disturbing. I'm only going to leave it up for a bit. Here he's advising Epstein on studies on how to get newborns to suck more vigorously on pacifiers. Now, why would a person who actively planned business sex tourism and fantasized about breeding sex slave children from labs, who regularly corresponded with men about trading underage girls, be interested in this information? Why would a Research One University professor provide this thought-provoking information to a sex offender? Are the rules of an elite university so absent that this exchange can happen on the university server email? In a polite society, our collective reaction to that would be to stay away from these institutions and tear them down from the ground up, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
And there are university students who want to do this. There are protests happening around Mark Tramo at UCLA. The problem is we are so programmed to think of this as your natural progression through adulthood, high school into college, and we're not quite ready to do that. But from my perspective, again, as a parent of a teenager, I have to ask myself about this academic model altogether. Because if you're a parent and looking to these institutions that we idolize, shouldn't this be a dark stain where you say no to places like that? Absolutely not. This is showing us behind the curtain. The academics who are ingratiated, decorated laureates galore are the ones who are comfortable with this Epstein-type elite academia validating sexual perversions, and the ones that are not are either kicked out or punished. So my point about academia and perverts is this: if intellectual prestige can coexist comfortably with proximity to sexual exploitation, then the norm has already shifted, and these institutions are no place for my children. And you should think about yours. And if that sounds extreme, ask yourself, if this doesn't qualify these universities, what does? That's my point.
Can you explain what you mean by it's a natural progression? Like what that these people go through to get there? Like, what do you mean by that specifically?
I don't know which point.
You were saying that this is like a natural progression. You're going through your teen years into this. Like,
that people think, it's high school and then it's college and then you're an adult, that this is a natural way that you graduate into your adult life is through going to university. Right. And so my point is that given that these elite universities, not all of them are associated with Epstein, but a lot of them are still reading these academics. A lot of them are still teaching our children about, the diversity of sexual life, about, and I also think it's worth talking. We're going to talk to Kavor Galmasian in the coming days about, it's not just about sexual perversion. It is also about geopolitical perversion and validating the geopolitical norms which allow us to wage war on behalf of Israel. That's clear. That was clearly Noam Chomsky's role in all of this. So I think it's war and it's sexual and violent deviance. And those are two places that you have to think about. Do my children belong there? No.
Right.
That's my point here. It's terrifying.
I know. I mean, again, well, also even just on an economic level, like, is there an ROI for even going to American universities at this point? So you could be taught poetry or how to code when everything's being taken over by AI. Maybe you should actually go to learn a trade, learn how to.
That's not really my point, but
I know. I'm just saying as an aside.
I don't think there is an aside to they're all perverts. Like, that's not, but okay, if that's your takeaway from this.
It's not my takeaway. I'm just saying.
It's a waste of money.
Also, it's a waste of money. In addition to the fact that they're perverts.
We do a lot of things that are a waste of money, just, for the cultural enrichment of it or for the experience of it. You could do that. That's fine, as long as there's no, aim to make you a deviant rapist. That's my main point there. Right. You might have missed that.
I didn't miss it.
Okay.
I'm just adding, also, it's a waste of money on top of that. But yes, this is an absolute agenda.
Interesting takeaway.
It's not a takeaway. It's an aside. It's an addition to the story. All right. Coming up, we're going to talk about Pizzagate, confirmed. And one of the reporters who was first on this story and who lost his career over actually reporting on this story, was told that he's a conspiracy theorist and all of this. We're going to talk about that next in a deep dive. But first,